Whistle for Willie by Ezra Jack Keats. Now sung. Oh, how are you today, my friends? How are you today? I hope that you're okay, my friends. Oh, deep in my heart, I want to say, I hope that you're okay today. You know, Mr. Gregg was not able to whistle most of my life. I'll say I, Mr. Gregg. I refer to myself in the third person. Isn't that interesting when people do that? Mr. Gregg didn't know how to whistle when Mr. Gregg was younger, but I'm Mr. Gregg. And I'm an only child. Are any of you only children, having no brothers or sisters? I have no brothers or sisters. And so when you're somebody who doesn't have any brothers or sisters, well, at least for me, you find ways to occupy your time. I'll also share with you that I had a lot of energy as a child, and I still do now. And so I would just figure something out and spend so much time trying to do it. And I'm still not a great whistler. I'm sure some of you are very, very skilled whistlers, and you thought, well, Mr. Gregg's okay. But I spent so much time in my life learning how to whistle. It's still kind of breathy. But anyway, this is a beautiful book by Ezra Jack Keats. I absolutely adore Ezra Jack Keats's illustrations. They're just so beautiful and warm and authentic. I think you'll remember we read another book where all of the scenery was in a city, and I was also born in the city of Pittsburgh with a lot of buildings and taking the bus and living with a bunch of other houses very close to each other, just very much in the city. And these books about children and people who live in the city are very dear to my heart. And Ezra Jack Keats is also just such a wonderful writer and illustrator. And this, do you notice this tangle of yarn at the very end is very tricky. It is so super tricky. Well, anyway, let us put this piece of yarn down, because I'm not getting anywhere with it. It's very much stuck right here. And let's get to the book. What do you think about that? You think that's a good idea? Yeah, you're probably like, Mr. Gregg, you're still not moving. Okay, I'm moving. I'm moving. Whistle for Willie by Ezra Jack Keats. Do you see how beautiful already those illustrations are? So vibrant. Very vibrant. I'm glad that the camera's picking that up. Oh, this might be Willie, huh? Here's a lovely first page. Oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. Yeah, Peter looks a little bit serious, but also perhaps sad. And I love the zigzag pattern on his shirt. Look at this beautiful pattern of bricks on the wall. I remember from growing up a lot of walls like that. He saw a boy playing with his dog. And whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. Peter tried and tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around and around and around, and he whirled faster and faster and faster. And when he stopped, everything turned upside down. He spun himself so fast that even the lights, the red and the yellow and the green lights on the lamp, seemed to come off, and they went up and down and around. Have you ever done that? Where you spin and you spin and you spin and you spin, and then you get so dizzy and everything kind of spins. Well, that is what Peter did to occupy his time. I'm assuming Peter is also an only child, because that's definitely something I would have done if I was trying to learn how to whistle and I couldn't do it, and I needed to occupy my time with something else. I would just spin myself in circles. Anyway. Peter saw his dog, Willie, coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. Wouldn't it be funny if I whistled, Peter thought? Willie would stop and look all around to see who it was. So Peter tried again to whistle, but he couldn't, so Willie just walked on. Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalk out of his pocket. Look at that, and he drew a long line. This is definitely something I would have done as well. Oh, look, he drew a loop around two girls jumping rope. And I suppose that line continues on to the next page. It certainly does. And it winds around a barber pole. And it winds right up to his door. He stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew until his cheeks were tired. But nothing happened. Ooh, look at this really wonderful, complex wallpaper in his house. I'm going to hold that up close so you can see that. So many fancy lines and colorful flowers. He went into his house and he put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror to practice whistling. Still no whistle. Ooh, there's another room with different wallpaper. Look at that wallpaper. It's two colors. It almost looks like flowers and vines. Well, when he saw that his mother saw what he was doing, Peter pretended that he was his father. He said, "I've come home early today, dear. Is Peter here?" His mother answered, "Why, no, he's outside with Willie." "Well, I'll go out and look for him," said Peter. That's my impersonation of Peter doing his dad. Oh, see, and Peter's outside, and there's beautiful visual art and graffiti on the wall. I remember this, and look at the vibrancy, how beautiful that blue is. First, he walked along a crack in the sidewalk. Have you ever done that? Walking on a crack in the sidewalk. Walking on a crack in the sidewalk. And then he tried to run away from his shadow. And I've done that as well. Can I tell you another thing that I like to do? And I even do it to this day. So if you're walking on a sidewalk, and usually there are lines, and I try to take an equal amount of steps in between lines, and I try to have those equal amount of steps equal 2 or 4. It's just a game that I play being an only child, and Peter is walking on cracks and chasing his shadow. I really do think that Peter is an only child. Although he might not be. He just might have an incredibly vivid imagination. Oh, look at that. He jumped off of his shadow, but when he landed, they were back together again. It's true. If you're out and the sun's out and you jump in the air, you can escape your shadow while you're in the air. And then you land and your shadow's back right on your feet. Well, he came to the corner where the carton was, and who should he see but Willie? And he scrambled under the carton, and he blew and blew and blew. And suddenly out came a real whistle. Willie stopped to see who it was. Oh my goodness, I remember the moment I made my first whistle. "It's me," Peter shouted, and he stood up, and Willie raced right to him. How awesome. Peter ran home to show his father and his mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling. Obviously, so did Willie. Willie stood up and sat on his hind legs. Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. Look at that. Willie seems to have the receipt. And he whistled all the way there. And he whistled all the way home. Do you know who else can whistle quite a bit? Robin. You knew I was gonna get you. Yeah, right. Okay. So, of course, all birds have beautiful songs which sound quite a bit like whistles. And I'm not very good at doing bird whistles, but I wanted Robin to sing his whistle for us. Is that okay, Robin? Okay, you want me to go sit over there so you can have the spotlight all to yourself? That's perfectly fine. Robin wants the spotlight all to himself. So he's going to fly with me. And he's got to switch fingers. I'm sorry, everybody. Here he comes. He's coming back around. All right, sitting on there on my hand. All right, Robin, let's hear it. You doing it, buddy? Oh, hold on. No? All right, here you go, buddy. Oh, that's beautiful. Is that pretty good? Ooh, I did it! Oh, Robin, I kind of did it! I know! How exciting is that? That's another thing that I like to do. Probably also because I'm an only child, but now I just think it's beautiful to sit outside and listen to different birds and to try to figure out what their songs are. There are some birds that, like, to me, they say birdie, 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 beep, 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 beep. That's how I do it. And then there are other birds that go caw, caw, caw. And then there are other birds that go hurr, hurr. That's more like a pigeon or a dove, right? Yeah. You like my bird whistles? Well, thank you. I really appreciate it because it took me a long time to learn that skill. Yeah, that's not right. Is it a skill? I don't know, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway, I encourage you, if you're out walking, to think about where your shadow is, or to maybe learn how to whistle, or you could like figure out different leaves on trees and how many different leaves you can find. There's so many cool things to do. And then I will whistle for Robin as we say goodbye. Is that cool? Thanks, Robin.